Now let's talk about another creative infrastructure project that's long planned. It's been in the planning phase for a really long time. It's ready to go. You know, when they used to say like shovel-ready infrastructure projects, we have one. And it's a really inspiring project called Think East. And I want to bring Brad Carlin from the Fusebox Festival, who's been the driving force behind it, up to talk about it.
Thanks, John. This is Ron Berry, the man, the myth, the legend. He's just going to take a seat, Ron. He's got to catch his breath. Yeah, real quick. Again. So this is, we'll talk a little bit about Think East. There's a lot of info in your packets. There's so much more we could go into, but real quick, want to say thank you to our partners on this project that has been many years in the works. They're all up here. Some of them are here tonight, so thanks folks from TBG and from the city and Cultural Arts Division. Bullseye, QBL Consulting have really helped make this thing possible. So thank you. It's been a team effort for sure. Okay, so we're a nonprofit arts organization, Fusebox. We've been around for 12 years. The main thing we do every year is to produce an annual festival. About a little more than 2 years ago, we decided to throw our hat into the creative placemaking ring. We applied for an Art Place America grant to lead a master planning process for a 24-acre project owned by private developers in East Austin that was part of the old East Austin tank farm. We like to make sure and point out that this was a project that has been 30 years in the making. We're just joining it most recently. This site is part of one of Austin's most tragic environmental stories, a story of environmental racism and pollution in a place that was literally poisoning the community, and it's an amazing story, though, and one of Austin's brightest stories of community organizing and community action, where literally a handful of residents took on the biggest oil companies in the world and forced them to shut down this poisonous tank farm and to get it cleaned up into a habitable place. And that is a process that took over 20 years. It was then purchased by private developers, and they worked with the community to establish a PUD, which is layers of zoning that was unanimously approved by Austin City Council in 2013 as Austin's first urban creative district. And then finally, after all of that, then Fusebox gets to come in. So we've done a lot of work over the past 2 years, but we're really building on 3 decades of incredible community work that has been led from the very root of grassroots, which we are happy to do and happy to honor. So a bit of just where this is. You can see we ripped this from the Imagine Austin plan. You can see that Think East is a little red dot that's just east of Airport near the intersection of Bowman and Shady Roads and what Austin in the future would like to call Springdale Station. It's right on the Green Line. And it's near Canopy, near the U.S. Foods Development, near Southwest Key, near Govalley Park, where the brand new Walnut Creek Bikeway ends right there. It is near Eastside Memorial High School, Govalley Elementary, Springdale Farm. It's an incredibly rich and vibrant and interesting part of East Austin. Zooming in a little bit, part of our 2-year process was developing a master plan not just for these 24 acres, but for a larger 100-acre district that included the entire tank farm, the former tank farm properties, as well as taking into account everything else that was already happening or what could happen in the area around us. So this gives you a sense. Think East is the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots there. That's the 24-acre site. But you can also see on this site where Canopy is, where Govalley Elementary, Govalley Park, where the new Skill Point Alliance space is going to be, where a new creative development is coming in by Daryl Koenig, the guy behind Canopy up there at number 14, and then 10, 11, 12, 13 is like another 20 some odd acres of wide open undeveloped space that's on the market right now that could really add a great deal to this entire area. So zooming in even further, let's look at the 24-acre site. And so we spent 2 years. We did about over 300 community meetings. We met with over 2,700 people over 2 years, and gathering ideas and input and taking suggestions on how to shape this place. And what came out of that was basically 5 priorities: affordability, health, open space, arts and culture, and education. And so those were the 5 priorities that really rose to the surface, and then we worked with our partners and our planning partners to incorporate those ideas into the master plan of this site. The master planning completed in January of 2016, and the project is already into the implementation phase. So what that includes right now, there's already been about 6 acres that has been sold to the Housing Authority for the City of Austin to develop about 180 units of 100% affordable housing. There is another 3 acres that's under contract to the Cesar Chavez Foundation out of California to do another 120 units of mixed income and affordable housing as well. There's also 4 acres that has been designated to include about 100 units of artist housing, which could include subsidized artist housing if we can get the right partners in place. There's 9 acres of open space, green space, including a 1.5 acre parkland dedication, land that private developers are donating to the city of Austin in order to create a brand new connection to Go Valley Park, that little flag, that flag-looking piece there on the right. And then finally, that leaves about 4.5 acres. And so there's 4.5 acres that has been designated for creative infrastructure, artist studios, galleries, and healthcare. And so for us, we've always viewed this project, and we've come to view this project on the whole as a community health project. That this is a model of a healthy community that has these 5 pillars, that incorporates all of this kind of thinking in terms of open space and education, affordable housing, culture, creativity, all of these things. And that makes a healthy community, but also being able to have health services on site. And so zooming in a little bit further, this is land use area 5. This is the 4.5 acre tract that Ron will talk a little bit more about our vision for that. So currently, Fusebox has an agreement to purchase this 4.5 acre tract at well below market value from the private developers. We have about 6 months to do that. And once we get the land, we can develop a little over 200,000 square feet of space for artists, creatives, and the like, and health. This is a site, this is the densest site in terms of the zoning rules. We get the most bang for our buck on this site. It has all the appropriate zoning to do everything that we're talking about already. It's also the only tract on Think East that has conditional use for outdoor events and outdoor performances, which would be very important to the creative community. Anyway, Ron's going to talk, there's some more stats there. Ron's going to talk a little bit more about our vision for these 4.5 acres, and I'll push these things.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
It's got like my wingman here. This is amazing. We are looking at purchasing this 4.5 acre tract of land to turn into an artistic campus, as Brad mentioned. The primary purpose of this entire 4.5 acre tract is to create meaningful artistic space for this artistic community, space that people actually need and can use, and to build into that permanent affordability. If we can't do that, then we don't even want to be doing it. Like, that is like the baseline. And so that's where we're starting. We're looking at funding this through a combination of public, so city, state, federal funding. We're looking at philanthropy from foundations and private donors, and we're also looking at private investment. We think there is an opportunity for some private investment. There is perhaps a smaller than normal return on this investment, but we also think that that can help make things move a little bit faster. We also are really interested, we know that affordable can mean different things to different people. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and so we're really wanting you, the Austin arts community, to define what that means for you. And that is what we're sort of setting as our baseline. And then we like this idea very much that the tenants that are part of Think East that are paying well below market rate rent, that after X number of years, say 7 or 8 years after we have paid off the private investment, that then you have essentially vested as a tenant, and your rent would then go to basically nothing. It's almost as if you just paid off your mortgage. And this was a way for us to get at ownership without, this project is really about permanent affordability. It's not about accruing wealth and flipping it. And so for us, this was a way of getting at ownership, but also preserving long-time permanent affordability. The other thing about this site that's very exciting is it is somewhat malleable. We want to I think as we're considering who will call this a home, I think first of all we have to figure out like what is going to be the right mixture of tenants and artists that can live in meaningful relationship with the neighborhood. We also need to consider what's going to be the most dynamic mixture of tenants that would feed and spark each other in a dynamic way. But then we also want to be aware of the larger ecosystem. What are these other projects that are happening? We don't want to just do this in a bubble. Oh, this person's doing this thing over here, and there's this thing over here. So that maybe we can focus some of our efforts on Think East around this particular angle. Having said that, we know that there's going to be performance space. We know that there will be rehearsal space. We know that there will be a gallery and studio space for visual artists. And we're also really interested in supporting the music industry as well, providing recording studios, office space. And we're really open to letting the music industry define what that is. So that's what we're trying to do. And I think in some ways, to me, the most important thing about all of this is that we are making a sort of we're drawing a line in the sand and saying that this is a place where Austin artists can make their work the way that they want to make it, and they can do so with the certainty that they know they're not going to get priced out 5 years from now. And at the same time, we are making a bold statement that the arts are not this thing separate from life. They are not this thing up on a hill, but they are this essential part of being alive, of being in community, and actually it is the arts that are helping imagine how to redevelop real estate in a market that is unlike any other market. Like, this has been one of the fastest growing cities in the country for many years. And we thought it was actually really meaningful and really exciting that an arts organization is sort of leading the initiative on how to develop a property in a way that is actually really respectful and meaningful. And at the end of the day, it's still going to produce a financial return for the developers, but it's going to do all this other really amazing social benefit in addition to that. And that just feels vital, and it feels exciting that the arts are part of that discussion in helping shape the way that our city is growing. So that's what we're doing. We need your help. We've never done anything like this before. We are not experts by any stretch of the imagination, but we are good listeners, and we are part of this community, and we're open to ideas, and that's how things happen. So.
Yeah, talk to us. We're putting the finishing touches on about like a 150-page master plan for all of this that shows all of the research and data and input and plans that we have in a very, very pretty, very big, very heavy document. But there's so much more detail to go into on all of this, and we'll talk with anybody at any point at any time, not just tonight. Reach out to us, and we're happy to share our thinking and hear your thoughts on this as well. Yeah.